Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name's Frederick Weller. Today I'm going to talk about the spell Mage Armor. This is part of my video series on Dungeons & Dragons 5e spells. Mage Armor is on page 256 of the Player's Handbook. Mage Armor is a first level spell, which means that if you cast the spell and you are first level, you're going to find that you only have one level 1 spell left to cast for that day. So it's quite a big investment. It takes an action to cast Mage Armor, which means you can't cast another spell or make an attack in the same round. Now that's fine if the combat is going to have a number of rounds to it, but if it's only one round of combat, by the time you've done your Mage Armor and cast it, you might not get to do anything after that. So something to bear in mind. You have to actually touch a willing creature to cast Mage Armor. So you don't have to necessarily cast it on yourself. You could in fact cast it on an NPC, a non-player character, or another character if you wanted to, provided they are actually willing. That can be helpful for making sure that you keep an NPC or a non-player character alive if you need them later on, or to keep your own party members alive if they don't actually have armor on. For some reason they take their armor off and they don't have Mage Armor, it's a good time to use that spell. The caster of Mage Armor has to say a magical phrase, perform a magical gesture of some kind, and they need one piece of cured leather to actually use the spell. So how does that work in terms of resources? Well, I think you can pretty much assume, as a dungeon master and a player, that that piece of cured leather is in your spell component pouch. Now, unless the spell actually states that the leather is not consumed by the spell, so you can reuse that same piece of leather that is tucked into your spell component pouch. So you don't need to worry about replenishing your pieces of leather. It's not getting consumed. It's only there as part of the focus for the spell. Mage Armor lasts for 8 hours. So don't cast it in combat. You have 8 hours worth of Mage Armor on you. So cast it as soon as you start exploring or you start your adventuring day or going into dangerous locations. Don't cast it in combat. I can't count the number of times that I've seen a player cast Mage Armor in the first round of combat only to find the combat finishes and there isn't a second round or even a third round, and all they've done is cast that one spell to protect themselves, and they should have done that at the very start of the day. Mage Armor creates a magical force or barrier around the target of the spell that protects it from injury. It's not like normal armor. It is a magical, it's almost like a magical field that's sort of very close to the skin. The character or the target of the spell has an armor class that is equal to 13 plus the dexterity modifier of your character, or the character that has actually had the spell cast on it. So invest in dexterity. If you're going to be using this spell on yourself, you're going to cast it a lot of times, then make sure you have a high dexterity, which means you will also have a high dexterity modifier, and that will help you have a higher armor class. The higher your armor class, the harder you are to hit. So it's sensible to have a high dexterity if you're going to use this spell. The Mage Armor spell will actually end if you put any armor on or you dismiss the spell as an action, which would be very foolish to do. So don't dismiss the spell. It'd be silly. Mage Armor cannot be combined with the monk's unarmed defense ability, so don't bother trying. They do not stack. I've checked with the sage advice that Jeremy provides, and each one, Mage Armor has a formula for calculating your AC, and the monk unarmed defense ability also has a formula, and you cannot stack different formulas. A shield can be used with Mage Armor, so if you are proficient with a shield and you can actually use it, then make sure you put on a shield with your Mage Armor. It's a very sensible thing to do, and I suggest that you do it. I highly recommend Mage Armor as a spell selection, even at low level. I know you don't have too many spells available at level 1 and 2, But given that if you do not wear armour, it is pretty much the most efficient way for you to have armour, make sure you use it, because it is a good spell. Okay, that's everything on Mage Armour. If you found this video helpful or informative, please share, like and subscribe. Make a comment below if you use Mage Armour with any class that you are currently using, whatever arcane user it might be. Tell me, do you use it? Do you not use it? What's your opinion of Mage Armour? And till next time, keep rolling those 20s.